This is Infection, the H1Z1 podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, August 4th, 2015, episode 29. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Infection, the H1Z1 podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on H1Z1. We bring you the latest news, changelogs, developments, strategies, and speculation each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. At Gamecast Live is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is the website. Joining me, Brian with an eye Aldridge. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, not too much. I'm glad that we're on time for the most part today. We've been sitting ready to go. Windows 10 seems to have installed and worked.
Yeah,
other than search.
I'm just going to make this up because, that's typically what I do on this show. I just make stuff up. I'm going to say this is the first H1Z1 podcast produced exclusively on Windows 10. And am I safe to say that?
I don't know. Maybe. Except what about all the demo ones that you could have done trial?
But not the. Well, this is not a tech preview. This is full Windows 10. So if we crash and burn,
we'll know why.
Yeah, I just I should make sure that this is actually recording.
That is one thing that we wanted to make sure, is that the OBS actually records this and is sending it out correctly.
There's a file with 0 bytes so far, so I'm gonna assume that's the recording. So we're gonna go for it. This is Infection, the H1Z1 podcast. We bring you the latest news on H1Z1. And Brian, we are now officially, I believe we're done with our
patch frenzy.
Yeah, with our patch 3 weeks, almost a month. There hasn't been any, to my knowledge, there hasn't been any updates if that's extending another week or if it's done now.
Well, I think if they did one today,
so I think that
today would normally be their normal
patch Tuesday,
but they didn't. They did a test one today, right? So maybe tomorrow they'll roll out a regular, and then maybe that'll be the end of it. Or I don't know if this test one is going to be pushed out. They're going to run on this for a while, but they did do a test server update today, this morning, I think.
Yes,
and then. Maybe because they've been doing a test patch. Next day, they're rolling that out to live, test patch live. So we could have on the 5th, so tomorrow, a live patch would be a good guess since that's what they've been doing the last couple of days.
Yeah, I feel like anybody that watches this show after the fact has to have a calendar open to try to figure out all these dates that we're talking about.
Well, especially late, just with this set of the new 3-week patch cycle they were doing, it's like the 29th there's a patch, 30th there's a patch, 31st there's a patch, the 1st there's a patch, the 4th there's a patch. They're putting out patches all over the place, and it's kind of hard to keep them all straight.
Exactly. So do you want to, Brian, just jump right into some patch notes? We have this is going to be really similar to last week's show in terms of you're going to see a lot of, and Brian and I were talking about this before the show, a lot of live server builds or a lot of test server builds, and then almost spot-on live server builds with maybe 1 or 2 things tweaked or changed. So there was a lot of patch notes, but not a lot of new content. Yeah,
we had a test server patch on the 29th. And so if you look at the 29th test server and you look at the 30th live, they're almost identical. So I'm going to go through the live.
Okay. And
then maybe at the same time, you can kind of scan over the test server one and then see if I vary anywhere. Because from what I read, they worded things a little bit differently, but they're pretty much the same thing.
All right, here we go then.
So if you look at the patch notes, they have the jumping height was corrected. And this was something that was not supposed to be changed from what I saw on Twitter. They didn't mean to change the jump height because we had mentioned it last week that they had changed the jump height, and that was a mistake. So they fixed that. And then the server fix for invisible players in VR and survival, because they were having invisible players, especially in VR, is where a lot of people notice it.
That was more of a login issue, I think we talked about, right? It was like a few seconds after you logged in. But
people weren't showing up.
Yeah.
You couldn't see them. So that is something that they put out on the 30th on the live. An issue where bleeding only lasts for 1 second, which is fine for when you're getting shot, the person being shot or being stabbed. Not good if you're trying to injure someone and chase them down and have them bleed out.
It's like they have God mode. They're probably a hacker.
Yeah, it's like this guy won't bleed. And then they fixed a crash when people are entering vehicles. They fixed related entering groups in BR crash. So I guess when you're going into BR in a group, it would crash you out. Maybe that's why I was always crashing out with people. Remember how I said I've never gotten into I
group,
can't ever get into BR groups?
Yeah, group BR.
Everyone else always crashes out with me. Maybe this is the fix for that. They fixed a crash in rendering. And then they fixed a bug where in BR players could still click and use a second tactical first aid, which they weren't supposed to be able to do, while they already have one. It doesn't stack the effect, but their first aid kit gets consumed and wasted. So that was an issue. And then they fixed the placement highlight sometimes not appearing. So there was a shader problem to where when you were trying to place something, you couldn't see the I think it was that green and red.
Now, I'm assuming that was the a lot of people with NVIDIA cards were having that, or was it AMD cards?
I think it was NVIDIA's that were noticing the problem. I know that Falcon from our chat was having, and from our clan was having that issue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is something that he was noticing, and I think he has an NVIDIA. So Falcon made a comment in chat also that they put 0.9 in the code for jump height, and not 0.9, or they had put 0.9 in, and that is different than 0.9. So they had to put 0.9 because that was different jump heights. That's what was causing the issue.
And so it was the AMD cards. I couldn't remember.
Okay, so it was the AMD.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was, I saw the R9.
Oh yeah, that's right. The R9s.
Yeah, the R9s were having a lot of problems.
So that was the 30th. I mean, did you see anything different in the 29th?
No. I mean,
just
like you said, some little wording differences. Everything else seems to be pretty spot on.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I got out of that. And then the same thing we have for the first patch, which is very similar to the 31st. I don't know if you want to open that up.
I can do that.
And then same thing. There was a little bit of wording differently, but almost identical. So this was an adjustment to the jumping height and mechanics again. So they must have made a small change where, because why would they change that number? First of all, the 0.9 and the 0.9.
Yeah.
They had to have changed something in the code, so they must be adjusting jump heights and things like that anyways. So they are trying to play with the mechanics of how that works. And I'm guessing possibly that this is because of the people jumping over gates and things like that. Maybe they're trying to adjust it to where you can't quite get over that gate.
Exactly.
You can't quite jump over things that people are using as to get into places and get to things they're not supposed to. Adjustments to falling damage calculations, because that was another problem. I heard a lot of people saying, hey, I'm falling and I'm taking a lot of damage from very small amounts of falling distance. So that's something that they've adjusted as well. Fixed to help prevent damage issued on initial login, which I never noticed. I don't know if anyone else, and maybe someone in chat had this happen to them, but for some reason, when you logged in, you would take damage. I guess if you had logged out a lot damage, then maybe log back in, it could kill you. Is a possible thing.
Yeah, I personally, and I've never been in a game with anybody that's experienced it.
Yeah.
So I would assume a very isolated issue, but obviously they found the cause for it.
And then they fixed code preventing some files from properly loading. And they made adjustments to placement rules. So that was the first patch.
Mm-hmm.
So Infected Joe was saying insta kill on login.
Yeah, that's essentially what was happening. But now there was a few times I logged into a dead character, but I don't think that's that, because that says taking damage. It doesn't say killing on login.
I have sometimes where I'm trying to get away from somebody, like if I go into a building and I just know like I'm not getting out of there.
And you log out.
I'll log out, and almost every time
almost every
time I'm dead when I come back.
Yeah.
From that, even though I've logged out before they've even entered that part of the building.
Yeah, I've had that as well.
There's still the delay, even though the counter's gone down.
I don't think that's that though. I think this is a different issue.
This is something else. So that's what I was saying. Anytime that I've ever been partially damaged, I usually come back dead anyways. But with that, it sounds like they're saying insta kill. So. You guys call me a combat logger.
Yeah, yeah.
I did combat log this last week, and I felt kind of bad about it, but I was dead anyways when I came back, so I didn't feel bad afterwards.
And I wonder if they actually get your loot or if that stuff disappears.
I think they did get it. I mean, I had gotten away from the guy, and I figured, maybe he won't find me, and I'm getting out of here, and that didn't work. So
you logged.
I logged and I died.
Well, this is Brian's last week with infection. We're gonna have to kick him out. Well,
Yeah,
we don't
sorry.
condone this kind of practice in game.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So you didn't see anything different on the 31st
no,
notes? Right?
nope.
So yeah, one thing I did want to mention is on these issue trackers. I did put a link, and we'll have these in the show notes, of direct links to patches as they're or what the issues fixed are as they come out of the issue tracker. If you look at the one from the 31st, I wanted to make a note of this at the very bottom, and we can put a link to this in chat so they can see what we're talking about as well. But they put, and this was different than them normally closing a ticket. They put on their compound bow,
Okay.
right? They put in there in the notes that this was a repeated idea, but at the bottom it says implemented. I mean, to me that sounds like they're going to put a compound bow in the game.
Yeah, and if you click on it, it tells you the description. Compound bow is made from scrap metal or metal plates.
But if you look, they closed it and said, this is a repeat of this other, it's duplicated by this other one. But this is the one they actually kept.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that they're actually saying they've put a compound, or they're going to put a compound bow into the game.
Well, this should be in the game because this is the live version from the 31st.
Well, maybe implemented on their side.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe not actually anywhere that we can see, but I just thought it was kind of odd because that was in the a patch note, pretty much, that not the one that they put out publicly, but that was in this one saying implemented, and I was just like, I haven't seen anywhere a compound bow yet.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, so this is something. This would be the top end bow. Like this would be. I mean, they have the crossbow, which has a form of compound bow to it, right? With the mechanics.
So apparently,
but this is not. But that is not a crossbow.
So apparently, implemented is just what shows when a new feature gets closed.
Okay, so then that's what I wanted to make a comment on. Is I couldn't really tell from this because I haven't seen it anywhere that this is. But he did. Okay, so that's an automatic thing. When they close it, it says implemented, which makes no sense to me.
Because I would not.
Where's the compound bow?
Yeah, I would not use the word implemented in the fact of just closing something. I would say closed or noted, not implemented.
Because the problem is, if you look in the patch notes, let me show. I'll put this in the chat as well, and as I said, we'll have this in the patch in the our show notes. But this is the version live date for the 31st.
Yes.
At the very bottom, it says we've added something new. Compound bow.
Oh, it says new feature, yeah.
Yeah, they placed it in. Maybe it was a mistake on their end, but they put it in as a new feature, and it's the only thing like that. None of the ones that they close automatically are in here. It's other than this, it's pretty much things that they fixed.
This is the hard hitting information.
Yeah, and Hanny's saying, well, maybe they're assuming it's the recurve bow. This could be, as I said, it could be a mistake because this is the only new thing like that I've seen put in here on this patch.
Yeah.
It seemed out of place. That's why I kind of tracked it down a little bit. But that is weird that they put that in there like that. And but there's no reason they wouldn't put a compound bow in the game.
So we'll wait. We'll wait, and I guess that all we can do is wait and see. And if it pops up in the files at.
It's just that one was different, and it wasn't like the rest of the issues that they've been closing down because of repeats or just because of time. But yeah, either it's a mistake or it's a sign of things to come. So I just figured I would mention it in here. Hopefully it's something that I would like a compound bow, personally.
Yeah, that was a
little side on it. Maybe it could be a lot like the crossbow. Yeah, as far as the distance and how it shoots.
Well, thank you for the hard hitting undercover piece there, Brian. Just just scraping the internet for the possible.
Well, I like to look through. I like to look through those things, and that just stood out to me. Like, I haven't heard anything about. I mean, I've heard people asking for this, but I haven't heard anything about it. So that was kind of an odd. Little way of doing it.
Now, Brian, there was also a test server build today that you said at the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So this was more of a minor patch.
So this is test server. So this is the one that we're assuming is going to come out maybe tomorrow or whatever,
Now,
if they're back on some more of a normal
now
schedule.
this week was really more like really specific bug fixes compared to last week. We had a patch last week, Brian, that was, I mean, it would have taken up 3 pages if you printed it out.
Yeah.
So this week's was a lot of small, just, little annoying bugs here or there, which I'm glad they got fixed, because now this stuff we're not going to have to worry about, these things continuing on as they're working on implementing new features and stuff into the game. I think come next week, Brian, we should be, there really should be no bugs. I mean, of course, there's going to be some bugs, but, in terms of...
So that's something I actually want to cover a little bit. Maybe, do you want to do this? And because I actually have a graph and some cool things I was going to show.
Yeah,
in regards to the number of bug fixes they've been doing.
Okay. So
just in this last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I'll take this then quick. So this was the test server build. It went up around 3:30 p.m. today, and some of the things that were changed, there were some more adjustments to the AI and spawning. I'm not sure if that's BR or just generally, spawning inside the game. There was changes to address invisible players. We talked about that earlier. And then there were also changes to make vehicles more persistent. I would assume this means getting in and out of vehicles, Brian, may be the same. You're not because I noticed sometimes it's instant, sometimes it's not instant. I think it's just the persistence of the cars in general, because they all don't act the same all the time.
Or do you think that they're going to be there? They're not going to disappear. Maybe
I don't
they're
know.
Not
I just think it generally means vehicles. Like all the vehicles should be pretty much the same now, and they should all act the same. Because I know that certain vehicles just sometimes don't act the same as other vehicles from a time-to-time basis.
Well, that's the only thing. Not consistent. That is really weird wording for them to use. Persistent. I always love how they make these patch notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like if you look at persistent, it's staying on course pretty much. It's what it means. And so making it so vehicles stay more on course, who knows?
And then, well, funny enough, the next patch note is fixes to help prevent additional cases for vehicles not staying on top of objects. That's the case. That's the case that we see where you put it on a foundation or a ramp or something like that, and it falls through. And then just a few assorted crash fixes for that. Now, Brian, there was also an update earlier this morning. So there were 2 client test server patches this morning.
And this one has one that's been bugging me every time I'm riding with someone in a car.
Okay, so which one is bugging you on this then? The first one?
Go to the first one on the next.
So it's the case of riding player's camera flipping out when being driven around.
So I'm riding with someone thinking, all right, we're in a BR. I'm going to be to where I'm going to snipe somebody if I see him on the right side of the road, and my camera is constantly flipping from left to right. I can't ever get it to look straight ahead. It's like it constantly goes to side views when you're driving in the passenger, and it drove me nuts because I could not line up a shot on somebody.
Yeah.
So
that has been.
So and this is on test server. So you'll notice this on test server.
Hopefully.
No, hopefully they'll roll it out here. Yeah, hopefully it is fixed.
Yeah, and then other than that, there's we talked about it before, the damage of players being dealt damage when they log in, and then AI responsiveness and overall spawning. We covered that. They refixed that in the later test server patch, and then just overall stability stuff for the game client has been fixed. So a pretty lightweight change log. Not anything that's appeared to be too drastic, except for the angles of the vehicle riding in the passenger.
One thing that we've always said is sometimes they'll go and fix something and then it breaks something else.
Yeah.
And so that was what was really not working on that 1 week patch cycle, because as they can see here, how many times have we heard repeated that they fixed some of these things that are very similar issues? Now, 2 or 3 times?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they've gone through and we fixed it or we didn't adjust it right. Okay, let's tweak it again.
Well, it's even funny.
This is almost how it needs to be, though. Like, keep tweaking it until you get it right.
I'm gonna post this in.
And then market is done.
I'm gonna post this in chat, but it's almost funny to see what they fixed earlier in the morning, and then they fix the same things in the patch later in the day. Like they noticed some stuff that wasn't obviously fixed.
Yeah.
Like to the AI and spawning. Like I would imagine that's the AI responsiveness and overall spawning. Like it's the same thing.
And this is the perfect time to do it. These are all test server patches. So on these test server patches, keep patching them. I mean, it's not like we're going to get mad if the test server goes down for 30 minutes, while they implement sort of a patch, this is the perfect, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Keep rolling out these test patches. Once you get it to where, oh, okay, hey, look, it's actually, we're jumping the right height. We're doing all these things the correct way that they're supposed to. All right, this is what's getting rolled out.
Yeah.
So even if this didn't get rolled out tomorrow, I'd be cool with that, because if they go through and they say, okay, we're not 100% sure if this is totally fixed.
Now, Brian, the one thing, and I think we've talked about this before, is we're not, personally me, I don't care if they stick so close to that Thursday, Tuesday patch schedule. If they Tuesday's a really weird day to do patches. You have the weekend off, then you have Monday, and then it's Monday night normally, or early Tuesday morning. I mean, same difference. So,
well, I mean, I almost rather personally would have it done on Monday, so that they have all week to fix. Like, you don't want to do a main server patch on a Thursday or Friday.
But the only problem thing is, on Monday they do the patches in the morning, so it would be they'd either have to do it late Monday night or Tuesday morning, because they're not working on Saturday and Sunday.
But they don't need to be. That's the thing, is if they come in and they do the patch midday on a Monday, everybody's coming in. Any problems that are going to come up, if they have to roll it back to whatever they were on Sunday, they can do that. But they have all week to kind of iron out those patches.
Yeah, and if they want to add a day on each side or whatever, and here's the thing, like this, for example, they released 2 test server patches in the same day. A few hours difference between them. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're being so stringent on this schedule. Like, we have to get the patch out on. We have to do a test server patch on Thursday. Why can you not do a test server patch on Wednesday, and then or Tuesday or Monday? Why can't you do test server patches?
If they're truly separated, if they truly are separating the test server patches and the regular server patches, to where they're not like, okay, let's keep this week to week on such a tight schedule, it shouldn't matter. Like, WoW is one place that's very stringent on. It's patch Tuesday. Tuesday, you're not going to play, and people base their whole game around that day. Like, that's when everything resets. That makes sense. They do it on one day because everything resets and you have a whole new set of goals that week. But on here, things aren't supposed to be changing that much and breaking after the patch. Like, if they do a patch today, it shouldn't be affecting the game so much to where everything is starting over tomorrow. Yeah, unless they're doing away.
And there appears to be some confusion in chat. We're not saying they're changing the patch schedule. All we're saying is that we don't think they need to follow. We're okay if they want to fluctuate on it a little bit. If they want to do
kind of like what they've been doing these last 3 weeks. It's more of a let's patch as we see things come up.
Because Brian, we've had this problem where there's a bug in the game, and it doesn't get fixed until the next Tuesday. Like, why is there not a patch in the middle of the week if there's an issue that is a problem? If you want to keep Thursday, Tuesday, that's fine, but they need to be able to do patch. They need to be confident enough to do patches in the middle of the week when there's problems.
One thing they could do is their goals of getting content given to the people who are going to be implementing it into the patch. Say, all right, by Thursday, I need all content that you guys want put into a major patch, right? But that doesn't include anything to do with these. But like what we've been seeing, these are bug fixes. Major content can be rolled into hey, let's do this Thursday, let's do this Tuesday. But why would they need to make small changes like bug fixes even keep on a schedule?
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't make any sense. That I don't see a reason to even bother.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think once
they've gotten much better, though.
Yes, that's exactly what I was just going to get into. I think we're seeing. Now, maybe they hired new people at the beginning or whatever. I think that they've got a flow now, right? I feel like
the Daybreak they're just figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's not whether or not they've changed things. I think that just as you do something and you realize what works and what doesn't work, and one thing that I'm going to compliment them on is that with different major things that we've run into, like they're going along and finally they'll hit a point where they say, hey, okay, we realize this isn't working.
Yeah.
And they totally change course. You don't have to be so drastic about it, but you can be to where, all right, we see that this course isn't, let's correct course a little bit. And it seems like that's what they've been doing, with the 3 week of patches. I mean, look at the weather system that they put out. And I've seen some screenshots that have been amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look,
Where are we?
I put a thing that says people enjoying the environment. These are just some screenshots of people on Twitter that are just taking pictures of what they're seeing in game at that moment. And like this one is the first one is a nighttime scene.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just look, like that is an awesome picture. This is what you would expect not players to put out, but like when someone's trying to pump up their game and say, hey, look what our game looks like. That's the kind of screenshot they're going to be putting out. But that's what it looks like in game right now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when you go on Reddit and you see some of the top posts, and they're like these really cinematic looking. They almost look like computer composite renders. Like they don't look real, and that's just cool stuff showing. As much as people may have not noticed it, the graphics have changed drastically in H1Z1
weeks.
In the last few weeks. Like, if you have not played H1Z1 in a few weeks, log in, and if you were somebody that was fed up with hackers maybe 2 months ago and hasn't gotten on H1Z1 since then, you will log on, and the first thing that you will see is, wow, this game looks amazing. The way that the sun and the moon kind of lens flare through the trees.
Now, take a look at that next one, because the next one's a day shot. And this person I don't think has as nice of graphics quality as the last one did.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but
I think that's their graphics settings, because the trees are more in the lower setting.
The trees look like they're colored by crayons, but I mean, you can get
still like you can see the new lighting, the way that they've been doing the lighting system, and just having that little bit of haze in the distance. It definitely. It definitely is a big improvement. This is a big improvement over, let's say, a month and a half ago. If you'd have taken the same screenshot, there would have been a huge difference.
Yeah. So this is kind of a PSA, because Brian, I personally know a lot of people that played H1Z1 2 or 3 months ago and were so turned off by the issues at the current time that they haven't come back since. Yeah. And if you are somebody watching this show.
Because we get a lot of people who actually listen,
but don't play the game.
Currently playing.
Yeah, so this is a PSA. Log on with a friend or two, or with a group, and hang out, and you will see a drastic change in the game from what it was 2 or 3 months ago, the last time you played, to right now. I assure you. So definitely do that if you are somebody that is not currently playing H1Z1, because you will. You'll see the difference.
And that's the thing is run around and just take a look, because we get things sometimes gradually to where it's kind of hard to appreciate the changes.
Yeah.
But that's what I enjoy, running around with someone who hasn't played in a while, because the second they log in, they're like, whoa, check out this. And it's like, I take it totally for granted. Hey, look at this new thing. And they're like so excited. Looking at all these little things, it's like, oh yeah, well, that's been in there. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of new stuff. Now, one thing I was wanting to talk about is with the issue tracker and kind of the state of the game recently. But one thing I did notice at the top is they put a new message up there.
Yes.
It says they are looking for moderators. So if you feel like
oh boy,
bugs and things are not getting noticed, if you're putting out saying, hey, this needs to be fixed, and you don't feel like it's getting paid attention to, this would be something where you could become a moderator of the issue tracker on H1Z1. They're looking for ones across multiple games, but I would definitely encourage you, if this is something you want to get involved in helping to improve the game, this is one excellent way to do it.
Brian, you should become one.
I do keep track of a lot of these things.
You're already doing it. I mean, you might as well give them some feedback on it.
Yeah. Well, this would be someone who goes through and kind of like with that one thing, saying, hey, this
like we do.
This is a bug. Yeah, this is a bug. This is something that needs to be, and we confirm it's a bug, and then you roll it over to the devs to actually look at. And
I definitely could not do
implement
this. I would be like, no, your idea is stupid. You're banned. I've had enough of you.
You want a mass reject button?
Yeah. I just want, I'm just
reject all.
I'm just gonna click on the top, and it's gonna highlight everything. I'm not gonna even read it, and it's just a delete. It's gone. Sayonara.
So, I mean, this is something that I noticed because remember the other message was up there a week or
Yeah,
two
what did
ago.
that
They're like,
say?
what does that mean? It's something that doesn't make any sense, but this is something that makes it's very good
It's
sense.
clear, it's concise. There's no
And they
like
actually talk about what games they're talking
there's no
about.
weird words.
They could have
Like
just said, "We're looking for moderators for a game."
we just said
And then,
it, we could have just said need mods question mark and we were like yeah, maybe, who knows, possibly.
so yeah, this is a much better message.
Yeah.
But if you go to, I have another link I put in there where resolve issues on the issue tracker.
Okay.
And I'll put this in chat as well, so people can kind of see what I'm talking about. And if you want to show it up there, you can.
I can do this.
But if you take a look at the jump, now, one thing we did make note of is some of these things are closing down old issues, right? Is from what I can tell. Sometimes they'll mark something's closed because it's such an old issue that it most likely doesn't have to do with the current patch.
Yeah.
But if you look at where they're at, I mean, back through July, they were getting behind on actually getting fixes out there. And if you just look in the last couple of weeks since they've been doing this set of patch weeks, I mean, just that is a huge difference. I mean, the graph is incredible, because you can see there's the number of issues is down to 221, and they have 649 issues resolved. I'm thinking that around the 24th was maybe them closing out a lot of the old issues, so that dropped it down about 100. But it's been a pretty gradual decline.
Yeah, and I think
down.
Now, the fact that they're asking for mods, I feel like there was, somebody let a match under the issue tracker and said, like, hey,
I
come
think a lot
on,
of things
guys.
were not getting followed through with, and we're not.
Like somebody said, come on, we need to get this under control. Obviously, we don't have enough people here doing the issue tracker stuff. We need to get more people on board, and I think that's why we're seeing this message on the top because
And this will be easier for people to go through and actually follow through with, okay, is this issue still real? And because if you get too many people or too few people watching too many bugs, it's very difficult. It's very easy for these things to get swept under the rug, not intentionally.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult for them to keep up with all of the bugs that are coming at them with these regular patches.
Now, Brian, I still have a request. I still think at some point you and I need to get together and we need to make some kind of like little video showing how to use the issue tracker and show it during the show. Because first time, I mean, you just look through it right here. It's a little overwhelming. There's a lot of boxes, a lot of colors, a lot of stuff going on in the issue tracker. So maybe at some point soon.
That's why I try to kind of get it to just those single windows. You can kind of see, hey, here's a real, here's what's happening. Because you could go and look at hot issues. You can look at, unconfirmed bugs. There's going to be a ton of them there, but those are just people saying, "Hey, I had this one problem once. I don't like it." Or my frame rate. I saw one earlier. I'm on a i3. I have integrated Intel graphics, and I can't figure out why my frame rate's low.
That was me when I was on vacation. I tried playing. It was like 3 frames a second. It was awful, absolutely awful.
It's like, well, okay, I don't think this is a bug.
Hey, I have an AMD Phenon and a 450. Why am I not getting 100 frames a second? Your game's crap. That's what the issue tracker is.
Yeah, and so that's where if they can get enough mods to start sorting through those, because it's very difficult for them to go through and deal with all those people.
Well, I just signed you up as a mod, Brian. So go.
Thank you very much.
So just quit your day job and then you can become a.
Yeah, I don't need to work. I can do
issue tracker.
Volunteer work full time. I mean, why not?
Live off the government. Let's get back to. Let's see, Brian. There was a tweet this week that, was like, huh? Like, what's going on here? What is this?
So, are you talking about?
I'm talking about Josh's tweet.
Okay, so this was something, and we'll kind of do a little bit of speculation here too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is a work in progress. It has hashtag work in progress, hashtag H1Z1 for the title, but it shows, okay, there's 2 things here, and different people notice different things depending on what they want. Some people notice the skyscrapers in the background, right? Mm-hmm. And then some people notice these really intense walls surrounding.
Yeah, like these Fort Knox type walls.
Yes, and so I think what he was talking about was these big walls. Yeah, I have an AMD. We don't want to talk about that. They're all making fun of AMD in chat. Thank you guys. But the thing is this is a test environment. This is not the this is not
This is
like the
this
city.
is them putting a bunch of stuff on a 3D plane. So they just put stuff next to
so
stuff
this
next to
isn't
stuff.
like this isn't a screenshot of the city. This isn't like, hey, here's a perspective from this new city we're building. But this is them putting together different buildings that then they're going to put on the map.
Yeah.
And so, but these giant walls really indicate that it's going to be surrounding something like this new city. What was that movie?
I'm not a movie guy, but I can try.
There was a movie here recently where they had a full city that was surrounded, and it was a zombie. It was Z. With what's his name?
Wow.
Anyways,
Oh yeah, the movie with the what's his name and the wall and the zombies.
Yeah, I wish I could remember right now. But
World War Z.
World War Z. Yes, that's it. If you look at that, they go to Jerusalem or they go to Israel, and it's fully surrounded by this wall. And that's what's protecting that whole city with Brad Pitt. Yes, and so that's kind of the feel of this. You can imagine people just lining up to this gate and just filing, waiting to get in, hoping that they can get rescued. And so I'm thinking this is be an excellent opportunity for them to kind of build that environment to where it feels like, hey, there were people here. Something happened, like infected started coming and just totally wiped out this area. And then I'm sure they're going to have a place where this is overrun and people are, and somehow the zombies broke in and took over the city. I mean, you know me, I like to
Yes, I know.
figure out. I like the lore of it. I like to figure out like, hey, I want to feel when I go in there that, hey, I can see that this happened. And that's what's going to be really hard for them to do. That's the designer's job, is to put that. It's not a movie, but they got to put that in your mind, have it play out like this happened here, and have your mind fill in the rest of the blanks.
Yeah, and I know you're a big fan of that.
So this, for me, that's kind of what I view on this, is they could make it feel like that part of that movie. You've never seen that movie?
No, I'm not a movie person.
I cannot believe it. You're gonna have to watch it. It was an awesome movie.
I'll have to find it somewhere and I'll watch it.
And so,
is it on Netflix?
I think it is. Well, I have Amazon Prime.
Hey, this week's episode of Infection Podcast is brought to you by our friends.
So yeah, we'll talk about. So that's this gate, and it's a huge concrete gate with barbed wire along top. Very impressive. We haven't really seen too much hinting at this before the release of this. And then these huge skyscrapers. Now we're talking about huge skyscrapers, like actual,
like physical, not like the apartments in PD.
Because right now those are some of the tallest buildings in the game. And those are apartments.
Yeah, we're
These
talking
are actual
full on.
skyscrapers.
Yeah, we're talking full on New York City, Los Angeles skyscrapers here. Now, I'm wondering if those are going to be buildings that are non-enterable, and those are just more of place
I can't
fillers.
imagine them doing that. I mean, that would be a huge waste.
The
only thing is going through those things. Can you imagine?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, what are you going to spend 4.5 hours going through a single skyscraper building? I mean,
but why not make it so that some of the rooms are available, some of them kind of like what you have in the apartments, where not all of the rooms are enterable, but make it feel like it's huge. Like have it to where a couple of floors on each one is enterable. Maybe some are barred off because people were inside and they were trying to keep the zombies from coming in. Use that to build that story.
Yeah.
Johnny in Bronto in chat, he's saying read the book, but that World War Z is a book, before it was made a movie.
Yes.
And the book is different than the movie. And I do definitely, even if you've seen the movie, I recommend that you go and read the book, because it's from the perspective of a reporter going to, we're talking about zombies, so it all fits. Yeah. It's perspective of a reporter going to all these different cities and getting their story of what happened in that city and how they fought off the zombies, or how the zombies overran, and kind of him trying to investigate where the zombies came from. And so they did that, and it made it an excellent way of telling a lot of stories and make it make sense. Unlike in the movie where he had to fly all over the world, right?
Yeah,
Somehow
I mean, of course,
he's
yeah, of
flying
course.
everywhere during a zombie
I know.
apocalypse.
Well, that's so stupid. What a stupid movie.
It's not as-
But no, really quickly, I just want to go back to this because while you were talking, I thought about this. This scene looks, Brian, I don't know if you played it, but Dead Rising 3. This looks a lot like
played it.
the whole. I think it's the opening scene of Dead Rising 3. It looks very similar to this like gated area. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's like a nice. That's like pretty much exactly what the Dead Rising 3 intro looks like. You're like you're at like a dead end wall, and you have to go through one of these things because the infection is spreading. So I want to bring that up.
And this is something where I'm hoping that like right now we see what 3 or 4 buildings.
Yeah.
I hope it's not. Here's the 3 or 4 skyscrapers we need. Now you're going to have 20 of them in a city, all cookie cuttered, kind of like what we see in Pleasant Valley and some of these places.
Mm-hmm.
This if they can continue to make these things look different and really make the city feel populated, like as far as with buildings, like there's stuff there. I think that'll be really cool. And the tough part is for them to make it feel big without being repetitive, and that's going to be a task for them to do. That's going to be the hardest part is not repeating content or repeating it in a way that you don't notice.
No, I think H1Z1 DB just hit the nail on the head. He said that maybe the skyscrapers are the new craftable bases. So yeah, maybe you'll be able to just put skyscrapers in your bases, so you can just you can just tower over everybody.
Everybody was saying that the building system, you couldn't get the bases big enough, so now they're solving that where you just go straight up from the square of your base.
Just
you could go 100 floors up if you want.
Yeah, and then you're looking down at Zims. You're trying to decide, is that an ant or a person? So there you go. Yeah, those that was a really like, hey, I didn't expect that kind of image.
Yeah.
So we'll.
And then we had another one, and this one was from Crow Empires or Sebastian.
Yeah, this was This was a cool one as well. He's been hitting this medical center research hospital facility really hard recently, in terms of the graphics work. And he released an image earlier this week, or actually maybe it was even later last week, and it was the morgue in this research center. This is without a roof, obviously, but this is kind of what we can expect. A few what are those gurney? These aren't even gurneys. I don't know what they're called when they're in the morgue rooms. But you
trays.
Yeah, there you go. But you can see some of the morgues in here, and some of the scrub stations and stuff like that. So just another room, another unique room that we'll have to look forward to when this thing comes out. Because I feel like this.
Now you see his note there. He says these body bags should wriggle once in a while in the morgue. And remember when I mentioned that those tombs, where I thought it was really cool that they had it to where you could hear zombies inside trying to get out of those tombs.
Mm-hmm.
That this would be a cool effect if. You could hear a zombie maybe in one of the locked ones scratching at the wall, at the door. That's kind of that when you're going through, that kind of creepy building to that feeling of just like, ooh. I'm in a morgue. This is creepy.
Oh, spooky. As people are screaming in chat and playing Rick rolls, I'm going to be very scared that I'm in the morgue. So that was a cool picture that Sebastian tweeted out. He has been. He's at least at least a new picture a week. Like he's just killing it on Twitter, with this new I mean, that's considered concept art, right? Or is that?
Well, kind of. This is they're rendering. So this will be placed in a room, most likely inside of the new building.
So then it's not really concept art, but it's not. It's just the models. It's not. He's just it's just the art stuff. It's not everything else.
Yeah, I mean they're still going to have other things like none of the placed items
exactly
are going to be in here. Anything that you're going to loot. So this is just the main design. Then they're going to put this in a room, and then you'll have other guys that will populate it with items.
Exactly. So what do you want to go into next? You want to go into the zombies?
So yeah, let's talk about the new female zombie. Now, there actually is, and I don't know if you can play the audio for this, but there is.
Is it safe for work?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a Vine video. And if you look, it's Curvy Llama, who's a streamer.
Okay, talk for a second. I'll get this
And,
queued up. Yeah.
and so they have her at the Daybreak Studios in San Diego doing screams. And now this, she said scream noises for the zombie. I'm assuming that this may be the screamer zombie.
Is this going to be this witch-like zombie that the
Well,
screamer?
that's what I'm thinking. Is this scream is actually the witch screaming zombie, not just what standard zombie noises are going to make. I mean,
Okay.
she may have done other audio for that, but this little
this
video
sounds
she put together.
This sound we'll play in a second. But this sounds similar to what the Left 4 Dead zombie kind of sounded like when it would attack you.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know why they use Vine. Like there's no play, there's no pause, there's no cue points. It's just
You just got to be good on your timing of hitting on mute.
yeah. So here we go. There you go. So that's
So she does a couple of different screams there, but they're all very similar to that. So I just really get the feeling that that is the screamer zombie,
yeah, that would make sense.
and so it's
Love
Vine. You gotta love it.
Yeah, I don't know why they use Vine. Like anything else they could do it. Not Vine. Not Vine. Thank you.
So yeah, people in chat are commenting about it. Sounds
Somebody
hot, sounds lovely. I'm not even gonna say what other people are saying.
Somebody got it. Somebody is going to be listening to this show, Brian. They're gonna be at a red light, and next to them, the windows are gonna be down, and the person next to them is gonna be sitting there, and they're just gonna hear. "Ah!"
Yeah.
And they're gonna wonder what is wrong with the person next to them at this red light. That's gonna
Yeah.
happen, and then you're gonna have me doing it, 20 seconds later.
Yep. And so that is the screamer. But then we actually have a render here. Now this I wanted to show. This is from its first attempt at rendering
Yeah,
this. So we thought that it would be funny to say, this is the zombie. I forgot, sung by bees. The beehives.
Yeah, you're allergic to bees, and this is the result.
So this is one where the head is just totally deformed.
Yeah.
Ferment didn't get this one quite right, and so it's like an elephant head zombie. It's got elephantitis of the head.
Yeah.
And so that one wasn't quite right, but we did have another one.
Yeah, right.
Where it's rendered correctly.
On a nice background and everything.
Yeah, it's a nice background and everything. And this is the female zombie character that's going to be put in the game that I'm assuming is not going to be screaming like that. We haven't seen anything about the witch zombie, like what it looks like yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they've actually put any renders out there that I've seen. I assume it's not going to be like one of these characters in different clothes or something. I would expect it to be its totally own type of zombie.
Yeah, so because I'll imagine that those, like you said, Brian, those are probably two different zombies. Like I can't imagine the screaming zombie is going to be this zombie, right?
I don't think so. I think that this is going to be a zombie, and then they're going to come up with another one.
Because it just doesn't make sense.
Now, Hanny put a graphic in chat where he's talking about the banners.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
I did.
I'm thinking from what he's saying on here that this looks like it's going to be just those banners they put along the streets.
Yeah,
like the light
they're
posts.
on the light posts. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that those are just going to be things talking about that. But look at the names. Have we seen any of those names in game yet?
No, not so far.
So these are all new things.
They look very like almost World War II propaganda-ish. Do you notice that? Like they're very.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so Carson Heights, that's got to be that new big city we keep seeing.
Yeah, by looking at the graphic behind it.
But Ehrlichburg, it doesn't look as big, but still looks like a city. I mean, you see, that looks like skyscrapers there.
Yeah.
And then there's a park, and then there's Grand Point, which has a picture of some dude.
Looks like Adam.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Adam, come here. We got to take a picture.
Yeah, we're gonna scuff up your picture a little bit, and here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so. Those are some new things, but those have got to be just little kind of like dressing along the road.
They're not. They haven't been placed anywhere. Those are just it's just the raw artwork.
Yeah. So, but anyways, the zombies. I mean, that looks like the female zombie. I don't. What kind of hair are they gonna put? There's no hair.
Yeah, I don't know. For the witch, I would imagine, or the screamer, I would imagine it's going to be longer hair because it's going to kind of be out
Kind of
along.
what you picture.
It's gonna. Well, it's just. It's gonna. It has to be significantly different from other zombies because you're gonna want to avoid this one compared to other zombies. So it's gonna have to be a different model. Maybe long hair, similar to the Left 4 Dead one, so it sticks out. I mean, that's kind of the key here. Is it has to be
Because you wanted it to be
different.
frazzled. I mean, they got away with having almost a buzz cut on the male zombies to where they didn't really have to do hair. But they can't get away with that on the female zombie. They've got to have it to where it looks raggled, it looks long. They're not going to get away with just doing a quick little buzz cut. So I think they haven't rendered it out yet that I've seen, but it'll be interesting to see how they do that because that really will affect how the zombie looks.
Oh, completely.
Now, BK in chat, he's saying that they really need to have banners that you can create for your clans.
Well, we've been talking about for a while how maybe this has been private conversations. I don't remember from what's private from what we talk on the show, but we've talked about how trying to make money for the game. What stuff they could do is sell the banners. I mean, sell a banner for your for your base or for a city or something, and just charge people $5 to upload an image and
have it be like kind of like what they're doing with the chests.
Yeah,
have it be something to where you can unlock that feature.
exactly.
So
And some type of amount that would make that available, so that because the biggest problem at this point, Brian, still with the bases is there's no customization. Yes, they've added the watchtowers, but it's still a square or a rectangle.
They're very plain, and I when I run around the cities and stuff, I don't really see people in their bases anymore. Like it used to be that people would sit there and protect their base; they'd always be around their base. But like I've been running through Pleasant Valley a lot lately.
Okay.
I don't even see people in their bases.
So, where are these people then?
I mean, I've been seeing a lot less people playing, but I mean, I just have randomly come across people, and I just haven't been seeing the numbers. Mostly, I see people at G5, which is what we call death cabins.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of near the dam a little bit. That's the main place that I actually see people on our server anymore, but they're not like together. They're just kind of like spawning and just running around with bows, killing each other. It's
wow.
just like
That sounds like a lot of fun there, Brian.
yeah. I mean, it's just kind of a weird thing. But that's what I've been noticing lately. It's like people aren't really trying with the bases like they used to.
So, do you want to get into current players then? Because you said there's not as many people playing.
I'm not seeing as many people.
That's the thing. That doesn't make sense. Where are these people? Because if we take a look at the current players right now, there are 13,699 people playing, and the 24-hour peak is 15,529. Where are these people, Brian?
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's impressive.
It's
I mean,
very impressive. When I got home from work today and I opened up the current players, it was at the 24-hour peak. I was at like 15,477.
if you
was almost
look,
there.
it's gradually rising.
It is.
Which, in the past 7 days, it's been going up, which we have never seen. And this is what we've been asking for. It's like if they could figure out what it is, and is it the bugs? Are people starting to come back because the weather system is implemented and they feel like it's pretty when they come in, and the bugs are getting fixed? Like, is that strategy actually working?
Now, H1Z1 DB is saying they're still in BR, but those numbers are high even for BR.
Yeah.
Those are really high. The current players at around 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night were some of the 24-hour peaks a month ago.
Yeah. So the numbers are there. Like, the numbers of when we were feeling like there was a lot of people there, that's where the numbers are at. And either as in chat, Stank said, they're all playing BR, which is possible. I mean, maybe people are just really into BR now. I mean, they've got the 5-man working. They've got the 2-man working. Maybe people are just all, for a majority of the servers, everybody's been going and doing BR.
Yeah, and our 7-day peak was 15,815, and that was reached on Sunday afternoon, which is to be expected.
But if you just look at the players in the last year, we're seeing a different trend than normal. I mean, because we can see a long term now, and you saw where it's gradually going down. We hit that low around June 15th, and then around July 15th, it went down again, but then it's gone up, and it still hasn't dropped as drastically as every other time it has.
Yeah. So, well, but there's another thing to factor into this. They haven't also announced a wipe.
Yeah.
Because if right now they said, "Hey, we're wiping next week,"
that players would drop. But still, I mean, look at the length of time that we're having just a slow dip. Like, this is what they've been needing to try to do, is have that gradual down, but then have it grow up. And it's starting to. This is the first time that we've seen it gradually go up. Correct? Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
never. If you look at every single one, everything is going down. It'll spike up for some reason, and then it'll go stay there for a little bit, and then it'll drop down again.
Yeah, it's
This is the first time that we've seen an upward trend in the game, and I think that's cool, personally.
It's interesting. It's really interesting because
I mean, and this has been since the patch. This pretty much the time that it's been going up gradually is since they started doing those patches.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's coincidence.
I think it's a mixture. I'm not disagreeing with you, Brian. I think it's a mixture of the patches, but also people not worrying about a wipe.
Well, and they've been implementing all this new BR stuff with the 3-man or 2-man and 5-man. That will get people in. It'll get people playing together, because that's what I've been saying for a lot of time, is they got to figure out what gets people together and playing. Get less of this I'm a lone person out there playing, because that's not going to maintain over a long period of time. I think that them getting people to play like the 5-man groups, getting people to log in together, that's going to keep them coming back every day.
Oh, and it's going to get groups of friends on, and that's, I mean, at this point, the core audience of H1Z1, I think, is groups of friends and clans. I mean, that's gonna be their bread and butter. I mean, not that the single player doesn't matter, but
but that's not going to maintain over long term of bringing people back.
No, it won't. Them inspiring you to log back on is great. That adds one number, but them getting a group or a clan back on playing, like you said, Brian, playing a 5-man BR is going to do more for the game, like without a doubt.
Yep. And so I think that this, for me, is a very hopeful sign. And this is what we've been saying. Hey, they've got to figure out how to do this. I mean, I remember us saying a couple of months ago, they've got to figure out how to make it so that it's a gradual rise, so the drop is not so dramatic, and then there's more of a consistent rise up. And that's exactly what they've done in the past, like month. Because it's from July 15th to August 15th. So pretty much, within a month's period of time that this has happened.
Yeah.
So, in chat, they're talking about the clutter of buildings.
Clutter of buildings and
in test server and things like that. And that's one thing. They're mentioning in there, like the decay system for buildings. And the fact that people are able to block off buildings that they're not supposed to.
That's still a problem.
Furnaces. Like, why can they put a furnace in a doorway and block you from even getting into a building?
Now,
they got to definitely figure those things out.
Now, there's another. I lost it, but somebody mentioned in chat the test server wipe should be an indication of the live server wipes, and I disagree with that, because the test server wipe should be almost all the time. Like, every time that they're adding something that could affect building in some way, they need to do a wipe.
They shouldn't be afraid to do a test server wipe. That's something that I think they should be like, hey, let's just let test server wipes be, if they had to, once a week.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as they're making changes, they want to see the actual effect of that thing on the game. Do a test server wipe, and quit trying to lock them so much to the regular server wipes, because people say, oh, there's a test server wipe coming up, so we know that there's going to be a regular server wipe. Just have it to where people are so numb to server wipes on test that it's no indication of when a regular one's coming.
Yeah.
And Hanny was saying that they can't block off those things anymore in game. But I have run into recently they're still, they can put furnaces. I've seen furnaces in doorways, unless it's been that they fixed it since the wipe. But those are things that if they fixed them, they're going to have to do a wipe pretty soon, just so we can see what's still bugged like that. To even say, hey, this
that's
needs
the
to be
problem. Because
or wipe the patch server, so then we can go in and try it there and see if it's still a bug.
Yeah,
because we don't know, because it's still, we're viewing all these old people's stuff that they put in.
Yeah, well, and African Jesus is making a good point in chat. He's saying, you're wiping the test servers every week. People are not going to want to build a new base to test stuff on the test server. They still do not have a reason to get people on the test servers. The only thing I've seen them is like, hey, we're playing on the test. The devs are playing on the test server. Come join us.
Yeah.
Like, there's still no pull.
Well, and that's where, I mean, we've said it over and over again, but if they could come up with more of a sandbox of, hey, here's a bunch of tools.
Here is the Gary's mod creative mode. If they implemented something like that into the test server,
they could have a test server that's for that.
Yeah.
So if you want to go on the test server and have one where you actually have to run around and gather all the materials, they can have one that's like what they have right now, but also have one where you can just spawn in items, and that, as I've said before, have it wipe every week, or have it wipe every night if you wanted to. I mean, you could have it wipe constantly. Every night it goes fresh, because people can spawn in things. But let's see, I want to go see if I can place an item here to grief other people so I can report it.
Yeah. I don't know. There must be some
Falcon's saying that he's saying that he doesn't have any skins on the test server. And that's one thing they've got to do too, is why not, as we said, if you go on the test server, you can get skins that then you can also use on the regular server. Maybe it be a special set of skins that you can earn on that test server that give you a reason to go out there.
Yeah. A single creative mode server, I think, would do a lot for them, because it would figure out issues with placing. I mean, nobody wants to invest time, and then that's what it comes down to.
Well, and it's not necessarily like the creative mode is just for going and figuring out what's possible. It has nothing to do with actual play. And don't make the regular servers one, but put one out there so that you can find all those bugs. All right, I'm going to spawn in a couple of things. Let's see if I can place them in these areas. Okay, I can. I shouldn't be able to place them here. Let's go report this.
Yeah, I mean, some of the bugs we see in terms of placing, it doesn't get replicated on the test server because A, not enough people play, and B, not enough people put the resources and time into testing stuff like that. Because it's just, great, this stuff's going to be gone soon, and nobody's on these servers, so who cares if
and they're saying, how are you going to see things over the long term? But that's the thing, is there's one of these for testing those types of bugs, and then there's one other server that is for testing, like building something that's going to last for weeks if there isn't a wipe. It's hard because it seems like we usually don't have builds that last for weeks before a wipe, but we have recently.
Yeah, it's
been like a month.
Exactly. There's no current draw, and I sound like a broken record, but there's no current there's no current draw
to the test server.
It doesn't exist.
Well, that's where if they could come up with that sort of a skins that you can win on the test server that are nowhere else, that wouldn't take them that much time. Just have their designers work for a couple days, throwing together, because people don't care. Like, a skin is a skin. Like, they just like, okay, no, I got it. It's an achievement.
Yeah.
They don't. It's most of the skins they don't wear anyways.
It's I don't know. It's been something that could and should have been implemented for a while now, and it's still not.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's one thing that we'll see where they go from there, and we'll see after this wipe if they make any changes, because they did change some things in the code about saying here's some new test server types. Like a test server 5-on-5 PvP, and I don't know if those are all internal, but they did put it in the code for the test servers, some things that I don't know if they're all rolled out yet. So they may be adding some new test server types, after this next wipe, or, coming in one of the main patches. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Brian, you want to go into tips of the week?
Yeah. So tips of the week is when I go over something that, for the beginner, could be something that, who knows, you take for granted as a regular player, maybe someone who's done first person shooters or survival games before, but there are some of those little tricks that you can go to for the new people just to help them out. Advanced tip can be something that maybe someone who's even been playing first-person shooters hasn't even run into before. Or maybe it's a concept or a trick to do something. So we cover these every week, and these are tips of the week. Okay, so for our beginner tip, this is not necessarily, hey, go and do this exact thing, but I want people to kind of understand the different ways to play this game. And it's important for the beginner to learn where they can find certain types of gear that they need. For instance, if you go into Pleasant Valley, you can go to the fire station. You can go and find a fire axe there, which is an excellent weapon, melee weapon, to kill zombies in that area. Or if you look through in Pleasant Valley at the fire station, you can go look through some of those cabinets and you can find a backpack. Same thing in the police station. You can find backpacks. You can find weapons. You can find some of the body armor. So that's a really good idea to go there because, for instance, in Pleasant Valley, there's a lot of loot. There's lots of zombies, but also there's a lot of players that kill on sight. So you kind of got to learn where you can go throughout the whole map to find those important items that you need, because you're going to learn that guns, backpacks, helmets, and armor are some of the most important things that aren't everywhere. If you're looking for specific guns, you got to learn where to go to get those things. So as a new player, as you start working your way around the map, figure out where those items are. And then maybe even make notes, put them on a little scratch pad. Hey, I remember at Pleasant Valley, I saw this here. Because when you go back, you'll find that most likely those are there. So every time. They may not be there at that exact moment, but if you wait long enough or wait 10 minutes, come back, there's a good chance they'll spawn back. For our advanced tip, I wanted to kind of go over heat. This is something we did talk a little bit in the game about, but zombies and animals will aggro to you based on heat levels. And so depending on whether you're crouching, whether you're moving, maybe you're in cover or something, you'll generate heat from your character. You can think of it as something that kind of radiates out from the center, maybe like a red glow from you. The more noises you make, the zombie's heat will grow towards you. So your heat will grow, and then once you're in that area around you, a zombie enters in that area, or a bear, or you go into their area and they come into that, it's going to make that animal or that zombie aggro onto you. So it's important to keep in mind when you're trying to get around a zombie or moving around the map, first of all, how much noise am I making? Even your shoes will make a difference. Sneakers are quieter, boots are louder, but you need to be careful as you're moving around, because let's say, for instance, you get this heat, you will need to get out of line of sight. That's one way to drop the heat, or you're going to have to outrun them to get a certain distance away. So this is something that's not unique to this game, but it's something I think a lot of people take for granted. But if you view it as an area of heat, how much, and it's a number that actually grows. So the more noise you make, that number will grow to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can't see it, but you got to keep in mind, okay, how much heat am I generating? That determines how close I can get to this animal or zombie. So those are our tips of the week.
Thank you for that, Brian. I always enjoy those.
It's a lot. Most people don't think of Z, or you could call it aggro. I mean, in WoW we called it aggro.
In DayZ it was called aggro.
Call it, in DayZ it's aggro. Here they call it heat. It's a heat map. But yeah, so you just kind of view it as like a red glow. Like as you become more and more hot, that red glow grows around you.
As your temperature rises, you attract things.
Maybe you got to kind of, if you can get it visually in your mind, because I remember I used to in WoW. At first you're so careful around things, but then you get to the point where you're running within just that one little hairline of where you can get around things, because you know what it is. Here it's more of a guessing game. I mean, you don't know. People are still figuring it out, but you're going to have to learn, like, okay, here's where I can run. Here's how close I can get to a zombie before it aggroes me. Here they have a pretty big heat range. It's like you can be pretty far away and they'll aggro towards you.
Yeah. Now, completely unrelated though. Like at the beginning of DayZ, Brian, the mod, like I would crawl everywhere. Like, I would not stand up and walk because I was just so terrified of aggroing the zombies. And then as you get more familiar with the game and how those things work, and then you're running right through the middle of the city. But for a lot of new players, it's something, if you're just getting into the game, something that you have to realize that it's in effect, and then you have to realize, okay, this is how close I can get about. And or if I do aggro a zombie, I can combat it and it won't be a problem.
Well, and I think that this is something where I would like it, and they've talked about this, to where noises, like let's say you do a gunshot in the middle of Pleasant Valley. I would really want it that zombies come pouring out of the woodwork when you do that.
Yeah.
Have it to where, okay, you just did something that generated heat across a big part of Pleasant Valley because they can hear it, and have them all just start coming. Have it to where you are so hesitant to fire a gun in Pleasant Valley because you know it's going to aggro every zombie in the area.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot of, the noise makers and stuff like that, launching something like that into somebody else's base or near their base to kind of screw with all that stuff. There is definitely I feel like they're putting a lot of emphasis on and they've been in the show notes, the AIs and how they're reacting to people. Like, that's really big for the game, because right now, you go from point A to point B, and you don't really care if you aggro a zombie. The only thing you don't want to aggro is a bear. You're more afraid of the bears than you are the zombies, because you aggro a zombie and you just keep running and you lose it, or you go into your base and you're fine.
Yeah, and so I think that would be a good thing to kind of get them to work, because I want people to be afraid to shoot at me in Pleasant Valley, because they have to weigh in their minds, is it worth killing him for whatever's on him, for the fact that I'm going to have to fight off 30 zombies.
Yeah, it's going to be like similar to like an airdrop. Like similar kind of thing. Like if you're going towards an airdrop, there's going to be zombies and there's going to be other players. In this case, killing Brian or any other player is his worth loot, or is his loot worth possibly dying from zombies.
Now, Manstan says, why be afraid of bears? Recently, bears have been nerfed.
Yeah, recently, but for the last 5.5 months, it was you see a bear.
Once you aggroed a bear, see you later, man. I'll see you once you've run back from your spawn point.
You see a bear, you just Control-Alt-Delete, you shut off your computer, and you try again another day. I mean, that's what the bears were like previous to this stuff.
So, but I think that would be a really good way to curve some of the kill on site, because right now you see people just running around shooting every chance they get in Pleasant Valley.
Well, it's a shooter, Brian. I mean,
see, it's a survival.
it's Call of Duty.
This game is for different people, different things.
For you, it's hey, let's partner up. For me, it's like, you're dead.
See, and that's for me. This game is more enjoyable as not being as much of a first-person shooter, not being as much of a kill on sight. Because I've been doing a lot of tests lately, to where I'll run in and just see how people are, and almost everybody kills on sight recently.
You're doing a social experiment inside of H1Z1?
Yes, I've been doing social experiments in the game just to see what the current mindset of the player is.
Why are you not recording this?
Because, I don't know, I want to be able to go in there and not think about, I just want to go in there, and because sometimes I get really frustrated. Because when you go in there as a social experiment and you get killed 5 times in a row by someone who doesn't even talk to you, it's kind of frustrating.
Like that hitchhiking robot in Philadelphia that just got destroyed for no reason, similar thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, recently I've been getting people to where, I in the last 10 times I got killed, I got one person to talk to me. It used to not be that way. Right? It used to be people talk all the time. And it's very frustrating to me, and it just really puts a negative feeling for where the game is at as far as people-wise, when 9 kills and I can't get a single person to at least, just say something after the kill. And I just wonder why. Like, what in the world is, like, what's the point? It's a weird reason. It's just a weird thing going on.
I think you should be recording these social experiments.
I could. What I should do...
and do a mashup.
Yeah,
We're giving away all of our secrets. Everybody's going to steal our $1 million idea.
I mean, I could. That's the thing, is I could just... Because it'd be interesting to see. Because it frustrates me to no end. But I just kind of view it as for what it is. But I just look at it and say, just why are people playing like this? People would get so much more enjoyment out of the game if they interacted with each other in this game.
Yeah, but I mean, some people's general state with these games are, I'm not friendly with anybody, nobody's friendly with me, so they kill you on sight.
But that's the thing is, like, the one person who came and killed me, like, they were just like, respawn, respawn, respawn. I was like, okay. Why are you yelling at me to respawn? To hit the respawn button. It's just that was the only interaction I got out of 10 kills.
Brian is like a sheltered child, like that doesn't understand the internet and how people act on the internet.
Why are people so mean?
Brian, imagine what this game is going to be like come free to play. I mean, imagine when this game is free to play.
I know, but that's what I just like to, and I do find, I have found in the past a lot of people that, and that's how some of you meet some of the coolest people, is when they'll sit and talk to you and you realize, that they're not jerks, and
we've recruited clan members like that. We find them in game, you talk to them, you're like, hey, if you see our clan,
But it's just, we've hit a point now to where you can't even get someone to even respond to you.
Yeah, that's no good.
It's a weird spot in the game, and I don't know why it's becoming like this.
I wonder if this is a speculation here, Brian, but I wonder if it's a lot of people playing BR a lot, and then they're trying survival, and they're in the BR mindset. Just kill on sight. I play a lot. Hey, I play a lot of BR. Let me hop on survival for a little bit, and it's just it's an instant kill on sight. I wonder if people are, because we're seeing 15,000 people playing the game. They're not in survival. They're not in PvE. They're probably in BR, and then when they're coming back to survival, if you're playing BR for a month and then you come back to survival, you're in a mindset.
You're going to kill it. Yeah, because that's one thing I have been doing. One thing I've been doing. I'm going to give away some of my secret is, I've been going to Pleasant Valley. I load up on everything, and then I just run around and see who I can find, and I don't always kill them right away. I don't kill them because I want to see their reaction to me. And it's like, it's just so weird that it's the same all the time. And I'm fully geared, but there's no fear of shooting at me, even though I'm fully geared, because they know if they can get a first shot off, you instantly die. If they can make it to where it was, first of all, harder to kill a person, and then aggro would build up to where you'd be overrun by zombies when you do shoot a gun, to maybe emphasize people trying to kill each other with arrows more, or doing some sort of a maybe silencers will come in the game that'll be harder to gain item. There's so many things they could kind of do off of this, but that is just weird to me that there's so easy to kill someone, and there's so little consequence for doing it.
Yeah, it's we're seeing how. I mean, this is that's just kind of how survival games are on the internet. I mean, realistically.
Yeah, Nisco's like, he's like, you didn't learn after 10 times.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's so easy to get geared in this game. I can get geared in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, you get a decent spawn, and
I just run to Pleasant Valley, and I'm like, okay, that zombie has stuff. I kill him, I got stuff, and then I just run around, because what else is there to do? Really?
And there you go.
I mean, you run around Pleasant Valley and kill people. I mean, we've done that a lot.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That's a little opinion insight on H1Z1. I need to get back and play some more H1Z1. I'm now that they're done with this thing, I will get back on and play more. But I just want to say, groups are dead. Like, nobody is playing in groups. Like,
all I see are people running around, as I said, in G5. Just like people at spawn points, just kind of running and chasing each other and killing one another.
Like, the best thing that this game had going for it was there was a huge clan population, and like that snap of a finger, it's gone. We threw out that PSA 3-4 months ago, or maybe it was 3 months ago, getting a bunch of clans on the same server, and we did. We had a bunch of clans on the same server,
and they all quit playing.
They're all gone. It's so we're gonna have to see. There still needs to be.
Now that they've got these bugs fixed, that's because remember when I kind of laid it out, like, here's what they're going to have to do.
Yes.
Now they're at step 2 of that.
Yeah.
And that is going to be getting the clan system, getting people playing together again.
Now,
if they get it to where it's stable, they got to get people wanting to play together again.
Now, one thing, Brian. Originally, when the game first started, not when it first started coming out, but when it first came out, one of the big things for the game was the live streamers. I mean, you had guys like Summit streaming with, what, 50, 60,000 people watching him play H1Z1. So you had a lot of, I mean, they even flew people out, am I correct, to play their game before it came out?
They would have streamers come out and they would let them stream from that facility and say, hey, here's live gameplay of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And for me, that was one thing that I followed all of that. I was like, I want to see the gameplay. I want to see what's happening. Definitely kept my interest going.
Yeah. So in terms of getting streamers back into the game, because it's pretty much thinned out, they're adding something new to the game, Brian, which is really cool. We've been talking about skins recently, and they've added streamer T-shirts into the game. So if you look at this thing right here, Brian, they show some of the well-known streamers. The few that pop out, of course, are Summit's and Cole Carnage's stream logos, and a few other people's as well. So this is possibly something that's going to maybe get those streamers back into the game and get the streamers' audiences back into the game, so that they're out going and trying to find this loot.
Yeah, and this will be interesting to see how many people are running around. Like, everyone knows who Summit is.
Summit? Summit?
Summit. But this will be something that I'm sure they're going to be adding to with the different. But these are all the main streamers at the moment.
Yeah. So it's so that's.
You said there's no lyric T-shirt, and I wonder why.
So I don't see a I don't see a reason for I don't see why that shouldn't bring people back to the game.
Yeah. And so you did say that we could stream this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was confirmed.
Okay.
So
well,
should we talk? So I guess we should talk about this. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
We'll just say someone in chat saying, "Hey, was this supposed to be talked about?" And we did confirm before we brought these up. We did check with them, and they said that this was okay to talk about.
I was told directly from somebody that works with Daybreak. I was asking what this stuff was, and I was told it's not these things. So.
Okay. So. Yeah. So we still don't know what that is.
No. But that's cool. That may bring people back to the game. Because here's the thing: if you get the streamers interested in the game and playing the game again, it's going to get their audiences interested in the game, and I think you're going to see the numbers go up.
Yeah. Well, and this is something. I don't know how much of the numbers. I have seen some of the different people at Daybreak thank like CD and a third. Because he can go in and pull numbers like you wouldn't believe to those test servers.
Yeah.
So that's one thing where he can go into the test server and say, hey, I want 20 people to come test this, 40 people to come test this. And he'll get them on there.
Yeah. So that's what it is. And I think that may be a step in the right direction for getting people back on to the game.
Hopefully you didn't misunderstand him.
No, I don't think that there was no misunderstanding at all.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't see the communication after that. So.
I asked, can we talk about? I said, can you confirm it's this thing? And I was told, no, it's not that thing. It's something else.
Okay, good.
So
I was gonna say, well, maybe we're in trouble because some of these other people that post content were like, "Hey, aren't you not supposed to talk about that?"
That's what I thought as well. But
you're scaring me, Nick.
I checked. Unless
I don't care.
Unless he was hacked, which is a possibility, but and I don't think he was. So I think we're good.
Okay, well, Handy said he wasn't supposed to talk about it.
I was told 26 minutes ago I could.
Okay. Hey, well, we'll find out later.
Hey, I got the message right here.
And right now, I'm saying it's all Nick's fault.
It's right here in front of me.
Okay.
So who knows?
If you say so. He's probably just saying that just to.
Oh yeah, because you know me, I'm a real rebel.
Yeah, you are. Okay. Well, anyways.
Alrighty. So,
well, hopefully you're not wrong, and hopefully we're not going to get an email saying, "Hey, wait a minute here."
What are they going to do? Ban us?
Yeah.
I confirm. Whatever. Brian with an eye Aldridge. Thanks for joining us. Where can people
this will be our last episode. Sorry, we're being removed from Twitch.
Yeah, where can people find you on the web?
Hey, if you want to get a hold of me, first of all, you can go to biteoftech.com. Of course, that's biteoftech with an I. Or you can go to google.com/plus Brian Aldridge. That'll take you right to my Google Plus profile. If you want to get to be a part of our clan, or if you want to come and just play with some people that are into H1Z1, more than welcome, go to our Steam group. And that's an excellent way to find other people that are playing. So just go to infectionpodcast.com and click Steam group, join that group, and you'll see a lot of other people. I mean, there's kind of a lot of people that used to play that don't play, and a lot of new people playing. This is a good way to find those people that are playing right now.
Exactly.
Because you'll actually be able to see in that Steam group who is playing H1Z1. So.
Yep. Alrighty, Brian. Thank you very much. Guys, we do the show live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check us out live. It's infectionpodcast.com/live, or that's just also on Twitch as well. We're on TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, of course, where you can get us on a podcast app as well. So, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of Infection. We'll be here next week. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Nick Craig. At Gamecast Live is my Twitter. InfectionPodcast.com is the website. And we'll see you next week for Infection. Have a good week, guys.